I'm very keen in knowing, how do you find yourself as a non-Jew fighting for the Jews? Because I'm non-Jewish myself, and I make it public, sometimes a bit awkward. But I'm very interested to see what's your experience, because I know there are positive sides and negative sides. So I don't know, I leave up to you to start with the positive or the negative. And I know it's another topic for a lecture, but we'll try to make everything in one piece in the end.
Right. So that's a very interesting question. Nobody ever asked me that. So thank you for that.
Good.
It's not only the positive, negative, it's also about whether I'm among Jews or among non-Jews. So let's start with non-Jews. So when non-Jews hear that, I'm such a vocal person towards the Jewish civil rights or towards Israel, most of them just literally say I'm crazy, or they have zero idea. They don't understand what I'm doing. That's fine. That's an easy thing, I can explain, and that's opening for a discussion. When it comes to the Jewish communities, I do highlight the fact that I'm not Jewish, and it has two reasons. One, they very easily make you feel at home and make you among them. But I always felt like I am lying if I pretend to be a Jew among them, because I'm not. And so when they treated me like as a Jew, or assumed that I was a Jewish person, it hurt me as Virag, because I still felt deep inside that I'm an outsider, even they didn't make me one. So I clarified it for my own sake. And then I also say that I'm not Jewish simply because the Jewish community is very justly so, but very vocal about how non-Jews are not supporting them. So whenever I go to an event, I make sure that they know that at least one non-Jewish person is here. And so how they react to it is very awkward sometimes, such as you said. It's something I don't think they understand how awkward they get. When I said last time at an event that I was a non-Jewish person here, and it was already after October 7th, the answer was, oh, that's fine. I like everyone.
Yeah, I saw that one. Yeah.
Yes, that post got a controversial response on social media from me. But if you think about it, that person probably didn't mean it in a bad way, or let's assume.
Yeah.
But if I would say to someone who comes at me that, hey, I am Jewish, I would say, oh, it's fine, I like everyone. That would be almost like a slight anti-Semitic remark. But somehow when it's towards non-Jews, you saw many of the comments were like, oh, many of the comments were very rude also, like, just get over yourself, or why you take so personally. I'm here not to show only my opinion as Virag, but also to represent a non-Jewish community within the Jewish, sphere or talks. So I don't think they know how to answer. What would be the appropriate answer in my eyes? Just say, thank you for being here. And that's it. And with that, we acknowledge the fact that, I took the time and effort as a non-Jew to be there, and we all like each other. So like, there is no distinguishing factor. But yeah, sometimes it can be very awkward. And I think since most of my, talks or interviews are with Jewish people, this question never really comes up. And there are so many different occasions when I do cry, and they don't understand that they hurt me. And it's not on purpose. It's the same way like I didn't understand that I was an anti-Semitic person. They also don't really see the reverse things. Like in New York City, I dated a Jewish guy, American Jew, and I was super honest and transparent. He literally said out that we can have sex, but he could never date me because I'm not Jewish. And I was so hurt. And so many people try to justify, but you need to understand. I was like, I don't need to understand. If I would have told you as a Jewish person that, hey, I can have sex with you, but I can never marry you, I would be headline anti-Semite on the news the next day. These are things I can't really talk about because I don't really know how, but they hurt me deeply, even though I understand that why this guy wants or chooses or needs to marry a Jewish girl. That's fine. But the whole situation, I'm still a human, and that often gets forgotten. Somehow I just need to, and that's a delicate point of my activism, that I am liked as much as long as I'm saying what everybody wants to hear. And then the moment I go into these little more sensitive topics, it's very controversial. So from one day the same people can like me, and the next day they are the ones who are trashing me from here to China. And that's a very sad human situation where we are now, that we assume that we need to agree on everything 24/7. What a pressure we are living under right now with this assumption. We don't need to agree on everything, and we still can be friends. Nobody agrees on everything with anyone. It's like I have
Thank God.
Yeah, thank God. But somehow, think about it, what we see on social media and stuff. The moment you are not agreeing on the tiniest things, you are out, you are canceled. And I'm often thinking about it. I disagree on a lot of things with my parents, and they are like the closest in DNA and mindset to me. So for me to assume that with strangers we would need to agree on things is just a weird society we have built up here.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
No.
So to make it more complicated, you mix Zionism with dating, and dating was not nowhere in my mind. But I think now that you brought it to the table, I will also discuss that with you. So when I lived in Hungary, actually, I have a whole book called. Book is written in Portuguese. It's not translated to Hungarian or English yet, but maybe will happen at some point. Book is called Beside the New. It's about the time I spent in Budapest. It's composed as every chapter is a girl I dated there. There are a few. I don't want to grab here.
You did
I'm not
that.
here.
I wanted to write that book myself from my perspective.
Your own version. Yeah, I write the introduction if you're interested. So, but one of the things I did was, when I was dating a girl, like I was not looking for a Jewish girl. A Jewish girl will be a plus because there are a lot of things on Jews that I resonate with. So, no issue with that at all. But if there will be an anti-Semite, I wouldn't be very interested in dating. I could have sex with them because I'm a guy. Let's be honest. Guys are like that. If it is to get off, sorry for my language, we don't care. Let's be honest. That's the way we are. So I probably wouldn't care. Maybe for one night, I'm going to be like authentic about it. But that would be it. Probably I would just ghost her going forward. But I would raise a couple of questions in the beginning to see how much could I be involved with that woman. Because one thing I never do is cheating or lying on purpose. I might hide a couple of things because they're not relevant, but I will be as authentic as possible. So I would raise some questions to the table, like, have you been to the Jewish restaurant in 7th District? See how they react. If they say, I would never go there. Jews are taking over Gaza and they are killing people. Say, okay, you'll never be my girlfriend. And I would also ask about politics. Is there anything you dislike in Hungary? And some would say, I dislike Viktor Orban. And I'm like, yeah, maybe that won't be my girlfriend either. Yeah, maybe we can meet 2-3 times, but I know that going forward we'll have issues. So I raise these issues, or raise these topics, to the table, just to avoid the two of us wasting time. And I think it makes sense. So would you do the same? I know you have a boyfriend now, but would you do the same in the past, just to see whether there was something on the way, some barrier, or
100%. 100% sure. Without being so judgmental, but some girls are checking your wallet on the first date. I was checking whether you are, aligned to my values. And since I was 15, I have not dated a Hungarian up until this point. So like for 20 years, I had long-term relationships also. But jokes aside, I was very much like not in the Hungarian dating pool, so more like Israelis. And for me, I couldn't even imagine not dating a Jew or not marrying a Jew for the future. I really tried not to date a Jewish person for a very long time. And whenever I went out on a date, I understood that they're not going to support what I'm doing, or they're not going to understand. And I really always thought that I'm going to end up in Israel. So I was also very hooked on having an Israeli guy. But then again, it's really complicated because if I lived in New York where this happened, and the American Jewish guys had this thing that, they may have to marry a Jewish person. They promised it to Sabo and Safta, so that's the way it is. Fine. For the Israeli guys, it was never a problem that I wasn't Jewish. But it was such a small pool of people at the end of the day, who are like, okay to date a non-Jew and some. And then after that, the politics, because even among Jews/Israelis, there are people with certain politics that, they would go with JVP, Jewish Voice for Peace, or something so much far on the left that is not something I can align myself with. So when people ask me, isn't it hard to date someone from a different culture? My answer was always, the culture enriches you, the differences, if you are with the right person. And I could not date certain Hungarians because they are so far away from me and my values, politics, religion, spirituality, everything. So the compatibility eventually comes down to these values, because once you have a child, it's extremely hard. I know people who can do that, but I could not, who are like, super right and super left and let's raise a kid together. For me, it's unimaginable, because the way you raise your kid, it's really a reflection on your values. So definitely it was like the first date icebreaking thing. And in fact, when I had a period when I was on a dating app, it was clearly said that I'm not Jewish, I work with Jewish communities, you cannot be a Nazi if we are dating. So like I tried to be, I literally spelled out, if you're a Nazi, don't even swipe right for me, like no. And then eventually God made a joke on me. Currently, I am in a happy relationship with a Hungarian non-Jew. And just for the joke of it, it's when he asked me out, I was like, you're Hungarian and you're not Jewish. I don't think I can go out with you. And he's like, what's wrong with you? You're Hungarian and not Jewish. I was like, you don't get it. So, I was so fixated on something, and slowly but surely with him, I understand why we need to let our ideas go, because fixation is not a good thing. Like I was really fixated on ending up with an Israeli guy, moving to Israel and stuff, and maybe it could have been a beautiful life for me also, but I see the benefit of how aligned we are culturally, politically, and everything with this person. And above all, he's the first who understands what I'm doing and why I'm doing, and he supports me. So yeah,
that's the best. That's the best. You don't need to check his wallets if he's supporting you that much. There's no need to go. Actually, my mom does that. I hope my girlfriend doesn't, but as far as I know, she hasn't started. I think she has no reasons for that, at least. But it hasn't started. If she watches this podcast, she might. But we'll see. I'll let you know if she was inspired by that or not.